Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. One of the problems, and there are many, many problems, with the Scottish education system is the infrastructure. Either buildings that are not maintained, dilapidated, falling apart, or have dangerous concrete, as we've covered in the past, or buildings that quite simply aren't there and need to be. We need to build schools. Now, this in and of itself is an obvious thing. It's a simple thing. Find a bit of land, build a school, the pupils will come. Unfortunately, the SNP government doesn't have the cash to do that because it wanks it all away on glossy brochures and foreign embassies. And so what does it do? Well, it enters PPF, public-private finance. And this was a discredited scheme done by Gordon Brown when he was the Chancellor in order to keep costs off the book. You literally put the costs forward over many, many years, make a private company very rich, do your mates a favour. And that is effectively what they're doing now with the schools. And they're racking up debts. These schools will actually cost about 3 times as much to build as they would should the government just pay for a school to be built. And this debt is going to hang around like a bad fart. It's going to be there for years. And children who are yet to go into these schools will be sitting there and watching their children still be paying for them. It's ridiculous that this is a thing. PPF has been completely discredited, and yet here they are doing it again. Let's take a look. So, Scotland's £18 billion bill for new schools that will still be being paid when today's kids are parents. Children who are going into school today will still be paying for this when their kids are going to the same school. Their kids will likely still be paying for it. Many of Scotland's schools are still overcrowded, in poor condition or unsuitable, or indeed, in some cases, not actually there. And this is despite the fact that the taxpayers have been saddled with a colossal, multi-decade bill by the SNP and Labour. PPF is the way that they can spend money and keep it off the books. So it doesn't look like they've overspent in any particular year, and they are delivering what they said they'd deliver. The unfortunate thing is that it's a private company that is then out making an absolute killing. I mean, 300% returns on these things in some cases. It's money for nothing that the taxpayer is being saddled with because the SNP thinks having pretendy embassies and having flights for Angus Robertson is more important than building a school for these kids. The staggering cost of building new schools under PFI and the NPD contracts in Scotland can be revealed at almost £18 billion, with payments due over a generation. Many of today's pupils will be parents themselves by the time the bill is finally paid off. And despite this astronomical sum, many Scottish schools are still overcrowded and in poor condition. Now, a bad school leads to inadequate teaching. And you see that the Scottish teaching results have gone down from being one of the world's best to being third world. There are third world countries out there that have better exam results and better teaching results than Scotland. A modern, what is supposed to be, a modern democracy. You have to wonder why they don't want to educate the kids today. I mean, presumably they don't want an educated population. People who are educated can ask all the wrong questions, can't they? If you can keep them stupid, then just let them go through their little lives with very closed minds. It's easier to control them. They don't have the wherewithal mentally to question what you're doing to them. That's obviously what's going on. 3 schools are currently graded D for the condition of their buildings. Forres Academy and Alvis Primary in Moray and Ardrossan Academy in North Ayrshire, with a further 221 graded C. In addition, there were 9 schools graded D for the suitability of the school estate and 260 graded C. With 2,344 schools in Scotland, this represents 11% of the national total. So if you're about to send your child to school in Scotland, you've got over a 1 in 10 chance of sending them to a totally clapped out broken down, ill-maintained, falling apart school, and is it any wonder they don't get the education they deserve? Because if the buildings aren't maintained, you can guarantee that they don't have enough books, that the teaching equipment isn't there, that there isn't enough, stuff for like lab work when you're doing science and things like that. You're going to have depressed, overworked, stressed out teachers. Everything. It's just totally non-conducive to educating children. The first wave of school building under New Labour was paid for under the infamous Private Finance Initiative, PFI method of funding. There were 34 projects signed off in the early years of devolution between 1998 and 2007, resulting in the construction of new schools with a capital value of £3 billion. But PFI is just a way of making your mates rich. The profit on that is horrendously large because you add on an awful lot of charges over the years. You build in maintenance charges, you build in update charges, you build in my mate's got a dog charge kind of thing. You put all these charges in, and when you see the charges that are going in, you're just amazed that they can get away with this shit. But get away with it, they do. The total value of these payments for these contracts, agreed over periods ranging from 25 to 33 years, was a staggering £13.5 billion. Now, the cost was £3 billion. The value of the buildings, £3 billion. The total cost, £13 billion. So I said it was 3 times as much. I apologise, ladies and gentlemen. It's over 4 times as much. 400% profit. Now, as someone who's worked as an accountant for a house builder and developer for many years, the usual the projected profit on any land purchase is 33%. Basically, you go in, you offer price for land, and you say it's a third for the land, a third for the build, a third is profit, and that's what you're paying for. These people are getting 400% and more profit. That goes to show that somebody's back is being slapped, isn't it? One hand washes the other. There's a little deal done. And it's no wonder these politicians sign off on this. Oh, yes, Joe Smith Builders needs this contract, blah, blah, blah. And then when they resign from or are booted out of office, they all go become a director of Joe Smith Builders because that's the agreement. In the meantime, Joe Smith has just pulled £10 billion profit off the public purse. They can afford to pay this guy £1 million a year for the next 20 years or whatever. It's cheap at half the cost, isn't it? Anyway, the biggest contract was Glasgow Schools, the largest education PFI in Europe, said to be worth £1.2 billion, although the payments on the books total £1.5 billion, with £500 million still outstanding. Signed off in January 1998, it involved 12 new schools being built from scratch and a further 17 being modernised with 30 years of what they call support, of which there will be none. A little bit of maintenance here, a bit of pointing done there. Oh, let's replaster that wall. Pennies. Absolute pennies in comparison. Other mega PFI deals agreed during the period include South Lanarkshire schools, worth £1.25 billion in payments, with 750 million still outstanding. And it's all across the board. It's left, right and centre. And you know for a fact, as someone, like I say, someone who's worked in the building trade, you know for a fact, someone, somewhere, is making a lot of money on a little shady deal. And it isn't right. Things like this, there should be no PFI. It should be pay, build, do, done. There's the total cost. A lot cheaper. And it's on the books. And you can see how much they're spending. And there is no illusion of corruption. For corruption, this is. Coming up. This is one of those examples that I often say that whenever presented with a choice, the SNP government always, without fail, makes the wrong choice. They're going into these private deals. Somebody's getting rich on it, and the public are being screwed. And they know what they're doing. They know in advance. This isn't, oh, well, we didn't see the fall, what the fallout of whatever this was. We didn't see the consequences. They know full well in advance. This PFI deals, these public-private finances and things, these aren't new. Labour was discredited them, and now the SNP are doing it as well. Their mates are getting fat. And there's a reason. It's because these guys want a job afterwards. That's why they're pushing it through. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and I will speak to you later. Bye.